Welcome to the EMEA Recruitment Podcast in partnership with Operation Smile, an international medical charity that provides life-changing surgery to children born with cleft lip and palate. To help us reach our goal of creating 100 new smiles, please donate at emearecruitment.com/operation-smile. In this episode, we're joined by Simone Giles, Head of HR, and Dagmar Droogsma, AVP European Strategy and Engagement at Environmental Defence Fund Europe. They describe the culture of an organisation at the cutting edge of climate solutions.
Hi and welcome to the EMEA podcast. I'm very excited today to have two special guests joining us. We're very excited to welcome Simone Giles, who is Head of HR at the Environmental Defence Fund Europe, and also her colleague Dagmar Droogsma, who is AVP European Strategy and Engagement. So welcome today, ladies.
Thank you.
Hello.
Nice to be talking with you both. Whereabouts am I finding you both this afternoon? Whereabouts are you based?
We are both in London and it's not raining today. So,
well, that's definitely a bonus.
It's actually quite sunny. So, yeah nice.
Lovely. No, good. Well, I just wanted to really start off our chat today. As you may know, we actually run the EMEA podcast in partnership with Operation Smile. So I just wondered, what was the last thing that made each of you smile?
Shall I go first, Simone?
Yes.
So every morning before I start work, I do a walk. You know, it's a nice start of the day. And this morning in the park, I really had to smile because there was a dog owner with their dog who had lost their ball and they were completely panicking. It was just actually, a small incident, but it was so funny. So I did smile.
Oh. How about yourself, Simone?
Well, I was off the previous Saturday to get back to the theatre. It was a wonderful Royal Shakespeare Company production. And first time in probably at least a year and a half with COVID. So that brought me a smile the whole day. It was such a treat to do something normal and get back to normal life. So that was wonderful.
Wonderful. Yeah, it really, has made us appreciate these things, hasn't it? Yes. That we used to take for granted quite often. So sounds really nice. So, obviously just really keen to speak with you both a little bit more about the Environmental Defence Fund and the amazing organisation that you're both working for. So what does it feel like to be part of the team there? And can you tell us a little bit about your company culture, perhaps?
Absolutely. So we're a non-government organisation, not-for-profit. We were established in the USA in 1967. And I think for our listeners, the main cultural piece I would want to pick out is that sense of USA optimism. I've worked for both European and UK organisations, and there is something very optimistic and new horizons about a US culture that sometimes we don't necessarily have in such buckets over in Europe. So that's a very noticeable piece. And particularly as our organisation is about finding solutions, that optimism really does go hand in hand with trying to forge solutions for environmental issues that we're facing. So there's the optimism, and again, hooking into that solutions piece, it's also a very collaborative and supportive place to work, because teams are consistently supporting each other to find the ways that work. So I think those are the themes that really stand out for me across the organisation. But I'd be really keen to hear Dagmar's perspective. Dagmar is both a Dutch national and someone that has recently joined EDF. So she's got a fantastic insight into what it means to work at EDF from a Dutch perspective.
Yeah, happy to say more about it, Simone. So I started in Environmental Defence Fund 6 months ago now. And I feel that I really came at a good time because as an organisation, we're going through a really exciting change. As Simone said, the organisation started in the US, but we're growing rapidly globally. So we've got a team now that we're building up in Europe, a team in India, in China, we do projects in Indonesia, Chile, and you name it. And so one of the things that I've really, really loved is how international it is. At the moment, I'm one of 2 Dutch-speaking people in the organization, but you probably find almost every language under the sun in the organization, and that's exciting. Also, we're going through this process where we're looking at our global mission, and that's been really fun because what I see, and I build a bit on what Simone says, is that people are very collaborative. And the good thing is they really like to learn about what's happening in the rest of the world to turn this into a global organization. Yeah. And I guess as a last thing, I worked in industry for a couple of years, but my job history is in environment and climate. And so therefore to work on climate issues 100% again, I've just loved. It's great. The organization is really focused on pragmatic solutions, and it's good place to be.
It sounds wonderful. No, it sounds like, as Simone said, very optimistic and positive environment there, which is wonderful. I guess with it being such an international environment now as well, how did the corona situation impact those relationships? Do you think it brought everybody together across the locations that you have?
That's a really good question, Jenny. In some ways, not that you can prepare for a global pandemic, but there was certainly an element, because we're on different time zones and always have been, a lot of our work has been on Zoom. So it wasn't too much of a shift for us in that sudden contrast to fully remote working. So that actually did stand us in good stead. But EDF has a long history of working across countries and cultures. And as Dagmar said, we are rapidly expanding. We've got a fantastic team that's growing in India, China, Europe. So we see more of the Zoom and the cross time zone working to come, if anything.
Fantastic. No, sounds very exciting. And I just wanted to ask your experience a little bit, Simone, of obviously being in a HR role and working, I'm sure, on numerous pieces of recruitment. From your experience, what do you feel is the true cost of making the wrong hire?
Sure. Oh gosh, this is something I could talk on for many hours. I think it's multiple, and it's a very serious subject in terms of the impact on businesses that a lot of people don't see. It can be an unseen cost. So firstly, there's the monetary impact. So, keeping it really simple, the actual cost of an advert, the cost of my time to work on a vacancy. So you can kind of number crunch it in that sense. But I think the two more impactful and less seen areas are the impact on productivity. So it is the wrong hire, the investment in time and energy to onboard that person, share knowledge with them. If that's not a successful placement, the impact on productivity there is huge. And the last one, I think, again, less seen, is that cultural impact. We really want to attract the best talent and create Environmental Defence Fund Europe as a fantastic place to work where people want to stay and build their career. If there is high turnover or long-term, the wrong hire, people don't feel that it's the right fit for them. The impact is on our work, both in the short and the long term. So absolutely, we're committed to getting it right. We want to partner with fantastic service providers such as EMEA to find fantastic candidates.
Excellent. No, sounds good. Yeah. So, and I guess, just really wanted to come on to the work that you guys are carrying out globally. I mean, you're really, obviously contributing massively in supporting environmental changes. Dagmar, is it possible you could tell us a little bit more about the key areas that the organisation are focusing on currently?
Yes, I can, but I think before I do that, it is helpful probably also to explain a little bit how we work as an environmental NGO. People will know lots of NGOs, and some of them, jump off helicopters to gain attention. Others are very much steeped in papers to lobby and what have you. And I think where we are slightly different is that all our advocacy is based on sound science and economics. So we've got a great team of scientists and economics in our organization, and we use the evidence they gather, and they work together with universities and think tanks. We use their evidence to try to influence policy or to do projects on the ground. And I think that's important to remember because we focus very much on pragmatic solutions. We're also working with business. because we want to make sure that what we propose to governments or other actors is actually implementable and will help their economy, as opposed to, shouting at them. That's not our style. In terms of topics, we do an awful lot on energy transition. And so a big dossier globally is our focus on methane emissions from the gas and oil industry. We also are very soon embarking on a new area, which is into hydrogen. It's a big hype in Europe, and we want to engage in that discussion using the science that we have developed. Also, and that's our areas that I'm quite excited about, we do a lot on what is called nature-based solutions. And that may be a term that people are not familiar with, but it's basically trying to help reduce emissions that are harmful for the climate using nature. And you can do that in agriculture, you can do that in fisheries, you can do that everywhere. So basically replacing the harmful things with helpful and positive nature things. And that's really great work, because that also means that the livelihood for people is not necessarily affected, because you provide them with a good alternative. So I'll leave it at that. But if people are interested in finding out more, at our website, there's other examples from work related to policy influence, to projects on the ground where we work with people to implement solutions locally.
Fantastic. No, we'll, I'm sure there'll be plenty of people wanting to take a look at that. And I think, obviously we specialise in different disciplines here at EMEA, so sort of finance, HR, procurement and supply chain. And I think, the common thing in speaking to people from all those disciplines is that, people out there are very keen to be involved in these sort of, moves towards environmental changes, sustainability. And there's a real, definitely a real desire to make a difference out there. So it'd be great for people to take a little look more closely at what you're doing. And I know that obviously as a non-profit organisation at EDF, you're supported by various donors. So where does your support tend to come from?
Sure. We have a fantastic team in the USA that are very skilled fundraisers and income generation. So in the USA sense, it's referred to as development. And we're very lucky to work with some of the best people in the market there. What they do is they concentrate the income in two distinct streams. We are fortunate enough to have some major gifts through our donor scheme in the USA. And then a huge part of our funding comes through regular donations, more in line with the classic European model of a monthly direct debit from your bank account to the charity of your choice. Given the US population size, we are so fortunate to have 2.5 million regular donors. Many of those can be under $100, but it adds up, and it's very much our thanks to those regular donors who fund the critical and vital work that we do. As we expand into Europe, we're really keen to explore new funding streams. We do have some grant partnerships with institutes such as the Children's Investment Fund. They are doing some great work on clean air that's needed in some of our very toxic, polluted urban spaces. So we do have partnerships with those categories of funders, and we would really keen to explore more of that in Europe as our team grows over here.
Hi everybody, it's Paul Thomas here. I hope that you're well and you're enjoying the podcast so far. Thank you once again for your continued support listening to the podcast. I just wanted to break into the recording to talk to you about a really exciting new partnership that EMEA Recruitment has along with Operation Smile. And as founder of EMEA Recruitment, it's an honour and a privilege to announce this partnership. Personally, I was born with a cleft lip and palate, so the mission of Operation Smile is something that I have a strong personal connection with. It's not an understatement to say that the dentists and surgeons that helped me were life changers. It's not only about the actual operations that take place, the support and care post and pre-operation are beyond value, and from personal experience I can only say that I'd not be the confident, happy person I am today without this support. I want to help children experience the support and care and skill that I experienced on my journey, and hope that we can do this along with Operation Smile. Every 3 minutes, a child is born with a cleft lip or cleft palate, and the mission of Operation Smile is to provide help and support to these children through providing 6,000 medical volunteers across 80 countries who are dedicated to help these children with facial conditions, most commonly cleft lip and cleft palate. More than 200,000 children are born with a cleft every year, and they are often unable to speak, eat, socialise or even smile. However, it can take as little as 45 minutes and cost just €180 or 182 francs for Operation Smile to provide a child with life-changing surgery. Now, in partnership with Operation Smile, EMEA Recruitment is raising valuable funds and aiming to create 100 new smiles to support the organisation to provide free surgeries for children and young adults all over the world. Please help us by donating through the link in the bio, or get in touch to see how your company can help get involved too. For the moment, I'll leave you to carry on listening to the rest of the podcast, but if there's anything I can do in terms of answering any questions or finding out how you can help and support EMEA Recruitment and Operation Smile, then please don't hesitate to reach out to us. Thank you once again, and enjoy the rest of the podcast.
So just reverting back a little bit to the recruitment topic as well, Simone. Obviously, we're very excited here at EMEA to be partnering with you guys at EDF Europe in your recruitment processes. But I just wondered, what do you feel are the key steps to take in order to have an efficient and effective recruitment process focused on really quality people?
That's a really great question, Jenny. And obviously, over the years in HR, I'm exposed to many different hiring tactics. From my perspective, the most effective way to secure and retain fantastic people is transparency. We're very fortunate working at Environmental Defence Fund Europe that the mission side and the vocation side is a clear win for people. Where I think my role is important is to then show them the nuts and bolts to the role. We know that the work we do is important. We know that it changes lives. But beneath that, it's then really, really crucial that people joining us have a full access really to the decision they're making about whether we're the right organisation for them to join. Our hiring in the Netherlands will initially focus on compliance, operations and due diligence roles. And whilst the cause and impact of our work is really important, the reality of operations is consistently the same across the sectors. So what we want to do is determine that people have the commitment and the dedication to that work alongside the interest they've got in our mission. So how I actively engage in that is to be very transparent and very open about what it means to work here, what the pressures are, the work-life balance, where this will come in, and really start the relationship from the beginning with a very open mindset. I'm a strong believer that hiring and recruitment is the first step in performance management. And I mean performance management in the most positive and wider sense around what it means to work here, what the expectations are, and how you'll be rewarded and engaged and hopefully excited by the work that we do.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic, Simone. I think, transparency is so key, in these processes. And obviously we've touched a little bit on obviously the great work that you're doing currently, Dagmar. I just wondered, what are EDF's plans for their continuing growth and expansion over the coming 12 months?
So I did mention that we're going through this big refresh to really become a global organization. So I won't refer to that again, but perhaps I can say a bit more about our plans for Europe. So at the moment, the European team is still quite small, but we're hiring new people, not just in the Netherlands, but for example, just today, a new colleague has started in Brussels. And in the coming year, we will be going into a lot of new areas. At the moment, we're focused very much in the EU on gas and methane. We're also doing some projects that are at the sort of cutting edge in terms of transport and air quality, but we will broaden that. So we've also just hired someone to do more work on transport. We will go into the hydrogen agenda. We're doing at the moment a big gap assessment with a French think tank to see where we can add most value value in terms of agriculture and food and climate. And we also are embarking on a project that relates to circular economy. And that's a pretty exciting one as well, because that we will do together with the Indian, Chinese and US regions. But it will be a very global project, but we will be leading it because the EU has got the most experience and knowledge about circular economy. So quite a lot, and I'm talking about a time frame of 1-2 years. This cannot all happen in one go, but you can start to see what our vision is in terms of expansion and to turn the Europe team also in a full team in terms of all the themes that the wider organization is working on.
Wonderful. No, it must be very exciting, just having exposure to all these different innovations and ideas that are coming through. And I guess one of the hardest parts must be choosing, which route to go down each time.
It's true, Jenny, but perhaps just say on that, we really, really believe that we only want to go where we can add value. So we will not step into really crowded areas, and we want to use our science and economics, to make a difference. That's why we're doing gap assessments, to make a very well-informed decision as to where we can be of best use.
Yeah, wonderful. No, that makes perfect sense. And just to round off our interview today, I just wanted to ask both of you what behaviour or personality traits that each of you attributes your success to and why. Shall I start with you, Simone?
Sure. So that was, I definitely had to reflect on this. And I think to just try and narrow it down to one skill, that of course is always a challenge. But for me, it would be listening. Listening skills are, something that are constantly referred to. You see them on any training course, any personal development plan, but actually vastly underused and underapplied in the workplace, I would say, in general. So for me, I would like to narrow it down to listening to people's experiences, their attributes, how they want to grow, what their challenges are, and really hearing them. I think that for me has been an absolutely key part of why I've been successful in HR.
Yeah, no, thank you. And how about yourself, Dagmar?
So, I had wanted to also say listening, but I will add something to that. And the reason why I think listening is important is that an organization is only as good as the people it has. And so therefore listening skills in terms of working with people are so essential. I would also say passion and curiosity. So I'm an incredibly curious person. I always want to learn. The moment I stop learning, I leave a job. And so that's really important. And that learning, in my case, is very much driven by passion. I care about issues. That's also why I love working on climate issues, because it's important and it pushes me forward and it makes me even more curious to learn.
Great. No, fantastic. Yeah, lovely traits to have mentioned. Thank you, both of you. So yeah, thank you so much both for the conversation today. And just to check as well, if any of the listeners want to find out more about EDF, could you just let us know that web address?
Absolutely. We are edf.org and you can read all about us on there, and edf.org/jobs has our jobs page and what it's like to work for us. And we really welcome applicants for this role, and as we continue our search and expansion in the Netherlands.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, both of you, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks so much, Jenny. Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to today's podcast episode. If you'd like to reach out to Paul or myself, please feel free to send a connection through on LinkedIn. And if you'd like to listen to previous episodes of the podcast, you can find them all at our website, www.emearecruitment.eu.